the biggest party of the summer has come and gone. That was a pay-per-view. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 61 of Under the Middle Rope. I'm your host, Jose Tabata, and yes, SummerSlam has come and gone. A crazy weekend of wrestling with TakeOver this past Sunday, SummerSlam, and of course the big return of CM Punk. And before anybody says, "Hey, did you say anything about CM Punk?" Yes, we did. If you check click the link on the top right, you have our emergency reaction to CM Punk, of course. Or if you're listening to this on wherever you get your podcast, it should be there as well. And of course, fair warning: if I sound a bit muffled or garbled, is because and I think I said this on Friday with CM Punk. I still don't know. I have some issues going on my jaw. I don't know what's going on. I am a little bit concerned. So I'm hoping that these guys take a little bit more of the talking. RJ, Pete, they're back as well to react. Gentlemen, how's it going?
It's good. My jaw feels fine.
Okay, great. I am in a lot of pain. I'm realizing I am in more pain than I thought now talking consistently like this. So this is going to be entertaining. Thoughts on SummerSlam?
It was long. If you want my honest
longer
opinion.
than I thought.
It weren't we talking about how we thought it was going to finish up shorter than normal on the last week's episode? It ended up going like what, four and a bit hours? I don't know.
4 and change. Pete,
Four
you
and
didn't
change,
see it
yeah.
live, right?
I didn't watch it live. No, I watched it next morning.
I mean, it had its moments for sure, and I think what we're going to do, what we normally did with predictions, is we talk match by match, and we realize there's no point. Like, what can we really say about Alexa and Eva Marie, for example? Not much. Do we have much to say on the new tag team champions with the Rated RK Bro? Probably.
I mean,
a little bit.
Well, we'll get to it then. I think we'll get to it. But before we do, of course, as always, we have to announce the results of the predictions. We didn't include the Raw tag team and the Alexa Bliss match because we all said the same thing. We all predicted the same person, so we realized there was no point. So of course you knew UMR champion, it's Pete. Yeah, Pete. Pete got
a bit more excited. Come on.
Pete won.
Yeah.
Pete got nearly everything right. And of course, let's go to that right now. Yeah, it's just almost. I mean, the SmackDown Women's Championship. We're gonna get to it, so we can say it doesn't count because Sasha was not there. Nobody knows why, but we're gonna get to that soon. But so technically, you can see that Pete was perfect. But RJ, if you want to feel good about yourself, I did take the tiebreaker didn't matter, obviously, but I did take a look at the time. It was 23 minutes per Wikipedia. You were the closest this time.
Good for me. I didn't need it this time, but good for me.
It comes when it does not matter. So there's your predictions board. Pete's a new champ, and yeah, let's break it down. Again, like I don't know if we need to talk about every match. We can start off with the Raw Tag Team Championship. We can start that right now. Rated RK Bro becoming the new tag champs. Any quick thoughts on that, gentlemen? Pete?
Honestly, I was just going to say it was a bit underwhelming, and I feel like the best thing that's been going on Raw probably deserved a bit more than this, a bit more time, and bit more gun. Like, to be honest, Riddle versus AJ on Raw was better than this tag match. So I'm hoping AJ can get back into like a singles feud now, though. Get back into maybe a title picture and go from there, because Omos versus AJ could have been very interesting, but they never really did anything with it.
Well, I also don't want to see Omos in a singles match anyway. RJ, any other thoughts with that?
Yeah, I'd like to see AJ get into the singles competition. You could still use Omos as like his bodyguard style guy, and he could fight against Bobby or whatever direction they want to go with. Until obviously they're probably going to use Goldberg again at Crown Jewel or whatever. But he needs a filler feud, which might be Sheamus if we're watching Raw last night. But I was hoping AJ could be that guy. He had a really good match with Riddle on Raw, as Pete said last night. That was probably better than the tag match, but it looks like they're going to at least push Rated RKO as a main event act still, even though they're holding the tag team titles, to try and at least put some legitimacy into the tag team belts, which I'm hoping what they're trying to do. But other than that, match wasn't so great, but it's kind of more what they're going to do afterwards that I'm a little bit intrigued about.
I don't have much to say other than I saw it coming, I guess, with Rated RK Bro, and Riddle is starting to warm up on me little by little. I'm like, oh, damn it, this is entertaining. I hate it. I'm gonna move on to the United States Championship. Anything on that before we get into we're gonna expand on the bigger points here, but we're just gonna quickly run down the matches that weren't obviously as significant. So the U.S. Championship, we all predicted Damian Priest. Damian Priest is your new United States champion. RJ, any thoughts on that?
Match was what it was. Sheamus, what was it? We talked about this last week. Was it like the fifth time he's defended the title since he had, or third time, fourth time, fifth time he's defended the title since he had? Did I think we said? It seemed like a pretty obvious title change for me. I'm hoping to at least try to have Damian Priest defend the title a little bit more. Do some U.S. Open Challenge instead of these like championship matches to earn a championship match that they've been doing. Hopefully they can go back down that road, or else I don't really care about the United States title.
Pete, anything else?
No, it's a decent enough match. Just wasn't really that invested in it. It's good for Priest to win his first title in WWE, as the commentators have said, just in case you even thought there was a slight chance that NXT was still relevant in this company. But yeah, good for Priest. I quite like the Raw angle. I do hope that Sheamus is not Bobby's next challenger, though. I think that is a very stupid decision. I love Sheamus, but you shouldn't lose the US title clean and then just immediately go into a feud for the world title, in my opinion.
Yeah. Of course, like I said, congratulations to the new national champion, Damian Priest. Oh boy, Tiffany Haddish got Twitter on that one. Oh boy. Is there anything to say on Drew McIntyre and Jinder Mahal?
I mean, I was kind of hoping it wouldn't be like a real squash, but I mean, I guess what else was I expecting?
Yeah. Anything else?
It happened. Drew won. It was still a really badly executed feud of something that could have been great, and then Drew's back in the title picture again, despite not being able to challenge for the title. So that's fun.
We're just because again, like what else more do we need to say? Now we're gonna get to now. I think now it's the first match we're gonna properly dissect and break down is the Raw Women's Championship. Charlotte, reign number 12. Pete was the only one that had that right, as RJ and I were optimistic for Nikki, but in all honesty, I'm happy that it's off her. I hate saying that because we've said it last week that we love Nikki, we love Nikki Cross. Nikki ASH was just not cutting it, and like I said last week, and like I said for Money in the Bank, as soon as that briefcase was put on her, and then the next day to cash in, this was destined to failure. I just did not think this reign worked, unfortunately, and much to the dismay of a lot of Charlotte haters, which I get it, because obviously you don't want to see like the numbers keep pumping up just like that, but Charlotte is the better person to be champion. I don't think I even would have wanted to see it on Rhea. But Charlotte it just works across the board. Nikki didn't, so I'm happy for Charlotte. And now that with Alexa Bliss coming into the picture, that makes sense as the next contender for that. Obviously, you wish it wasn't with the Lily character, but here we are. So I'll take Charlotte as champ. RJ.
I'll take Charlotte as champ. I just hate the way that they're doing it. Like giving her the belt, and then it's like they had Nikki as a scapegoat. It was like, we need to get Charlotte another reign, so let's take it off of her. Who's the least convincing person to give Money in the Bank to? We'll give her a fluke victory, and then Charlotte will take it right back. That's just they're just feeding her all these reigns. It's like they want her to get to 17 before John Cena, which is what it's starting to feel like for me.
Which is they're instead of Cena getting to 17, it's Charlotte.
It's just so forced and so fast, and like I don't even mind Charlotte. I think Charlotte is very good. And if she had a long reign, I would take her a lot more seriously instead of losing the title 2 weeks after winning it and then saying, I've won the title 12 times. And it's like 13, 14, or 15 if you include the Divas title in her NXT reigns. So, I mean, I just don't like the way that they're forcing it all over the place. I would have preferred Rhea win for this reason if you're going to take the belt right off Nikki, because it just feels like you're putting the title on Nikki just to give Charlotte another reign. And I don't even mind Charlotte. I think she's really good, but it's just... I'm over it at this point.
Like I said, I do think that deep down, aside from like most likely you're right, RJ, deep down I do think that they want to see where this went with Nikki, and it just didn't work. It just did not work. Pete,
it does seem very classic WWE to not acknowledge all of the Flair's world title reigns, but
I got it. That's funny.
Yay! I guess I'm not going to hide the fact I'm a huge Charlotte fan. I think she is maybe the out-and-out best women's performer WWE has today. It's probably between her and Sasha. But honestly, as much as putting the belt back on Charlotte feels lazy, and it is lazy, I don't think they actually left themselves any choice here, which is, again, their own fault. But she does bring an element of legitimacy back to that title, and just her presence alone holding that belt. When someone beats her for it, it does mean more, as weird as that says, because to be honest, it's because everyone else is booked so poorly to hold that belt other than Charlotte. But I'm just hoping they do something, but I'm a bit worried because based on the next contender, I'm not going to be surprised if by the end of the year Lily's holding that women's title. So we'll see.
If the doll holds that, I don't, because they treat Lily like a separate person, don't they?
Yep.
Yeah, they do. God, I miss Bray Wyatt.
Bray Wyatt is Lily almost, pretty much.
That's it. It's to give Bray another title.
Yeah, it's to give Bray the title win that everybody's always wanted.
Not wrong. Let's move on to the let's see what I want to talk about next. You know what? Let's talk about Edge and Seth. Let's talk about Edge and Seth first, because I think the other three are pretty significant. Edge and Seth Rollins. Everybody knows I'm an Edge mark. I was so happy. I mean, I was happy as soon as he came out, and that Brood entrance. Holy hell, I was just screaming. I'm like, this is amazing. This is the best thing. Okay, it's not the best thing I've ever saw, but I was loving every bit of the Brood entrance. I'm like, this is perfect. What a great throwback. And of course, I presume they also did that because there was a report that Allegiant Stadium did not allow any pyro whatsoever, which is ridiculous. So I have to presume that was their, you know what, if we don't have pyro, why don't we just have like a little ring of fire? Edge used to do that back in the day. So for the kids that don't know, Brood Edge, God, you're young. I liked it. The match was incredible, absolutely phenomenal across the board. They complemented each other really, really well. They just tore the roof. And again, like I was saying last week, that I know that both of these men needed a big win in 2021. I thought that Edge needed a little bit more. I know that can be a bit of a hot take because yes, he's a veteran there, and Rollins is the younger guy in this case, but he's a veteran too. But I'm happy for Edge. I'll take it. I wanted this for Edge, and I don't know where he goes from here, but I'm happy that he at least got that significant win in 2021 to kind of make up for WrestleMania, which will always be bitter about. But yes, I'm a big fan of the match. I was very happy. Pete.
At this point of the show, just thank God for this match. Thank God this match was happening. Unbelievable entrance, fantastic match. Well, second best match of the weekend after Walter and Dragunov, because they weren't going to be able to top that. But this was excellent. Absolutely loved the match. It capped off the best story on the card with the best match on the card. And that's what I want to see in wrestling. Excellent stuff. No complaints whatsoever. I don't think it was quite a SummerSlam classic where you'd put it in those ranks, but I don't think it's far off.
I don't know if I would say SummerSlam classic, but I mean, I do think it's I mean, you could if you want to focus on just the SummerSlam aspect. I mean, that's a conversation for another day, as there's a lot of matches we need to look through. But start a tournament bracket. But I do. You can say it's up there, maybe like top 10, top 15. I don't know. SummerSlam is not on my repertoire like WrestleMania for me. So I would have to think that through. RJ.
Yeah, I don't think it's a classic. I think there's quite a few matches in the last 5 to 10 years even that are probably better than it. But it was, in my opinion, the best match on the card by a significant margin.
Oh yeah.
Pretty much everything Pete said nailed it on the head. This at this point in time, the card was starting to drag and the big matches were coming up and it desperately needed to happen. And this match was almost placed perfectly for that reason, where I was starting to almost lose it a little bit, and this match kind of brought my attention back up. So everything they did was really good. Story was really good, and they finished it off strong. And then easily the best match on the card for me.
Yeah. Again, like I'm happy for both, and I'm happy that Edge can. Again, Edge has proven that he still got it, but he still freaking got it at his age. Is incredible. It's so good. I mean, Pat McAfee made me laugh with his 10-pack comment. Again, I'm happy. I thought it worked.
But Seth needs to hit the Phoenix Splash just once.
The what?
Just one time. Just one time. He
did.
Always lands on his feet and then rolls through into something else. I mean, it's cool.
He hit
and it's
against Cena.
athletic.
He hit against Cena, triple threat Royal Rumble.
I do remember that. Yes, that was a good match too. But yeah,
That's
that's like the one time I've seen him hit it.
Fair
Yeah.
point. He always does kind of. He does do that a lot, doesn't
Didn't
he?
he hit it
Wow.
on Triple H at Mania? Am I remembering that wrong?
At 30, Mania, I feel like he did. At Mania 33, wouldn't be surprised.
Potentially.
I
Maybe
don't know.
I don't know. I might be misremembering. But...
Let's move on to the WWE Championship match. Again, I'm going out of order with the order that we went last week because I'm trying to think of like what is like least significant to the most significant. So I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna put the WWE Championship here because I cannot believe they protected Goldberg. I can't believe it with the leg injury. And was it just me, or did Goldberg took a while to react to the Kane hit by MVP? Like he took like
he didn't realize MVP had hit him until he caught MVP moving back out the corner of his eye.
So you can say that like Goldberg was so tough, and that by the time he realized he moved, he realized, oh, that was worse than I thought.
No, I think he just forgot to sell it. So
That's what I'm saying.
He just didn't feel the hit, and then went, oh bugger, MVP meant to have hit me, and then started selling it.
Anyway, Bobby Lashley retains by a forced stop of the ref by referee stoppage, which is hilarious. What made me laugh, and I feel bad for laughing, was Gage, Goldberg's son, or as some people are starting to call him, Sunberg. Sunberg. I laughed at that so hard. Somebody in our group chat, my group chat with P, somebody was saying Sunberg, and I lost it. I thought that was brilliant. Comes in the ring, and Bobby Lashley puts him in the hurt lock and immediately drops him. And MVP saying, "I'm sorry, I didn't realize it was him. He doesn't attack minors." I was just laughing throughout the whole thing. I'm like, this is just hilarious. The crowd loved it. I'm like, wow, we are cheering the assault of a minor. Big fan. He is a minor, right? He's like, what, 16?
I would imagine he's in high school.
He's 15.
Judging by the...
He's 15?
I think he's 15, yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it looks like he's wearing his like high school like football jersey.
I have no idea. I mean, like the kid that we saw in 2016 is not the same kid today. God, that kid grew up.
He's got Goldberg. He's got Goldberg's jeans.
Going between 10 and 15 is a huge jump for most people as well.
No, I know. It's just like he was like a chubby little kid, and then he's like this. Now he's like this, starting to like
now
get
this chubby little teenager.
Sunberg. Anyway,
yeah.
I laughed. I laughed so hard. I'm like, oh my god, they're hurting the kid. This is hilarious. And of course, I believe it was right after that match. I think it was when they set the promo for Crown Jewel in Saudi Arabia, which is just, oh my god, you bastards. Which of course, if you're new to the podcast, we're going to tell you right now, we are not going to touch it. We are not going to look at. We're not going to review it. We're going to avoid the hell out of it because we hate all that. Stupid. And I've seen people say that it's racist for thinking so. Okay, sure. Whatever keeps you happy. Pete, let's go with your thoughts on the finish and the ending to that.
I mean, this is meant to be Goldberg's contractually obliged second match of the year. So, and he's only meant to have 2 a year. But then again, money talks. Money really talks. And yeah, they're 100% doing the rematch in Saudi, which no one wants. Honestly, if this wasn't Goldberg and this was somebody else and their kid, like, for example, if it was Ray and Dominic before Dominic got a bit ruined by booking, if it was like Ray and Dominic, for example, I would have loved this angle. If it was somebody I cared about as a face taking on Lashley to the point where they desperately couldn't continue, and Lashley continued the beatdown, taking out the guy's leg, taking out the guy's son, then whoever the guy is like then cowering over his son, screaming, "I'm going to kill you for this." That's a great angle. That's great storytelling. But it's Gorg. And no one wants to hear Gorg going on again. And that was the best thing to come out of this match, though, to be honest. But yeah, Goldberg is pretty dangerous in the ring. He's not over in the ring. The fans didn't want him there. And when your big monster heel that has been getting booed pretty solidly throughout most of his time as champion, as a heel, is getting cheered for pulverizing your leg, cheating to win, beating you down with a chair, and murdering your son. There's an issue there. Get Goldberg out of there. Move on.
Murdering your son. I love it. I I don't condone violence towards children, ladies and gentlemen, but that was just funny as hell. I was just again, it was just so funny just to see the kids suffer. RJ.
Okay, when you put it like that,
Wow.
maybe you're condoning violence against children.
No, I'm not. I swear.
Wow.
But yeah, pretty much what you guys have said is right. I do give the fans a lot of credit here because this match seemed like a direct shot at the booking. Like, get this dude off my screen, out of the ring. I do not want to see him because, as Pete said, this actually was booked fairly well at the end if it was somebody that we cared about and wasn't Bill Goldberg, because
He's gone.
your fans should not be cheering Bobby Lashley putting somebody's son in their hurt lock or whatever the heck he's calling it now. So this could have been booked properly if it was anybody but Goldberg, but I give the fans a lot of credit for cheering Lashley and booing Goldberg out of the building because it's a direct like F you to Vince saying, get this guy away. We want a new challenger and we don't want to see Goldberg anymore. So I do give the fans credit and I do like this match for that, but it looks like they're setting up Crown Jewel, which obviously we don't want to see. And I guess we'll see some more Bill Goldberg.
Was it just me, or as soon as Goldberg started to come out for his entrance, was the crowd? They piped in crowd noise.
Oh,
it
yeah.
sounded like they did. I'm like, really? Because I think
they've been doing that the whole time since he's returned.
Yeah, I mean, like for somebody that Pete and I know mutually, Devlin Husband, he had a friend there, and you think he was saying that like they were booing. There was a lot of boos when Goldberg came out. He was getting like destroyed. So yeah, I hated the finish. It was just a big what the hell, but I guess we'll see what happens. Again, we are not going to touch the Saudi Arabia, and we are never going to touch any Saudi Arabia event on this podcast. I think this is the first. Actually, now that I think of it, this is going to be the first one that that like the podcast is going to go through, because I started this in March of 2020 and the last one was before that. But even then, I know we're only predicting big four pay-per-views now, but even just in general, any conversation with Saudi aside from this one, it's not going to happen. We're not going to touch those pay-per-views. Hell no. Because again, I just think it's pathetic. So I'll make that clear.
Yeah. I do have one last point on this match.
Go. Yeah.
What? Okay, so 99% of why anybody likes Goldberg is the entrance. So if you can't have pyro, then what the hell is the point of having Goldberg? Like, what's the point?
That was weird, wasn't it? The smoke, the fog. I mean, I'll give credit where credit's due. When WWE needed to use that fog or that smoke pyro, it worked out for the most part across the board. But I see what you're saying. Yeah, it was very weird. Once I read the report of the no pyro, I'm like, Goldberg has to come out in an hour. That is not going to be entertaining. And there it was. By the way, I just realized, because Pete just said it, we completely forgot about the SmackDown Tag Team Championship. I have nothing else to say other than apparently people thought that Dominic was going to turn. He didn't.
Might at some point.
Okay, cool.
I agreed with that. I thought Dominic was going to turn, and I think it's a wasted opportunity to not.
Yeah, I heard that 3 times in a span of 10 minutes from different group chats and people. Dominic's going to turn. Dominic's going to turn. My cousin sitting on the couch. Dominic's going to turn. What?
It's because it was stale, and everyone's like, let's do something with the Mysterios, create a mid-card storyline, and have Dominic versus Rey, because it'd be quite a fun little passing of the torch potential moment for the two of them. To just do something different. And instead, they just kept the status quo, and nobody seems to care about the Mysterios at the moment. So do something that'll make us care about the Mysterios, and that's the obvious thing to do.
What I'm going to say is, if he was supposed to turn, which again, I didn't see it, if he was supposed to turn and didn't, then I hope, and again, I know I'm already speaking so far out in the future, but WrestleMania would be your match for that. would be the location, the setting for it. But knowing them, Extreme Rules is going to come, and they're going to probably slap it on and be like, "Oh, let's try it."
That's like,
bitch. Okay, now we're going to move on to the second biggest talking point of the night, because this rattled. This got people going from a state of euphoria to a state of anger. The SmackDown Women's Championship, originally Bianca Belair versus Sasha Banks. Beat reporters such as Sean Ross Sapp were saying before the show started that Sasha was nowhere to be seen, and then before the match started, they were told that Sasha was not able to compete. It wasn't even in the building. Nobody knows what happened. Apparently, she wasn't cleared. We don't know if it was an injury. We don't know if it was COVID. Of course, people on Twitter demanded to know. We need to know. And gotta give credit to Sean Ross Sapp for saying, no, you don't. You don't need it. You want it. Two very completely different things. So I'm give props to Sean Ross Sapp for that. So that doesn't happen. They tease the hell out. Carmella comes out instead and saying, okay, you know what? We're gonna have Carmella versus Bianca, which we've seen for only the millionth time. And then the good old last from Ireland, Becky Lynch makes her big return, who we thought was going to come at Money in the Bank. We thought was going to show up at WrestleMania. Thought we were going to show up the night after Money in the Bank. Finally comes back, roar to the crowd, amazing. Takes Carmella out of the ring, and all of a sudden it's Bianca versus Becky, which I know a lot of people, as soon as the bell rang, were ready to see a very, very fun match because I'm like, because it's holy crap, it's Becky and it's Bianca, two great competitors in the ring. That should be a very entertaining match. What nobody said was it should be a very entertaining 20 seconds. A squash of what I thought was a decent reign of Bianca. I liked Bianca's reign as women's champion. The new move, the manhandle slam, is that the move?
I think she was actually doing that before she left.
Was she?
I don't think she's finished a ton of people with it, but she's definitely used the move.
Oh, everybody knows it now.
It was like a signature finisher where it's like you don't win that many matches with it, but you used it quite a lot.
I was happy for Becky to come back because I'm like, okay, all right, she's ready to come back. Sweet, let's do it. And again, I immediately went, what the hell are you doing, WWE? That is a title reign that you ruined again with a quick squash, very similar to Kofi Kingston. Although, unlike Kofi, I presume this is what Bianca's next rivalry is going to be, and apparently Becky's going to turn heel. I don't know, but oh my goodness, I hated that. It sucked. But they did focus a lot on Bianca after the squash, so I presume it means that they're going to continue with it. And of course, we're going to find out what happens tonight, Friday night on SmackDown. But dang, it was sad to see a lot of people disappointed at that. Then again, it's the WWE. What do you expect, RJ?
So it is disappointing that a lot of people thought that we were going to see Sasha versus Bianca again. It could have been a really good match. Sasha's not there. Becky comes out. It's SummerSlam, so getting a squash is kind of not what you're really wanting or expecting because it's SummerSlam. It's supposed to be the second biggest show of the year. You don't want to see a 20-second match in your title match. But I think it's going to work, personally. I think that Bianca is not going to get thrown to the wayside like Kofi was after he got squashed by Brock, whatever the heck I just said. I think Bork, yeah. I think that turning Becky heel, I think she might still get cheered. Although I think that the fans are going to rally behind Bianca here because I think that she got screwed. And I do think that's kind of, I don't know if that's what they're really going for, but I do think that the fans, because we're already seeing it on Twitter, we're already seeing it on social media, they're rallying behind her because they think that she got screwed. So I think that turning Becky heel when she swatted the handshake away and then squashed her, one, proved to me that she's not ready to wrestle a full match yet. They just brought her back for the shock value. And two, she definitely turned heel, and I really do think this is going to work. I know a lot of people didn't like the actual match, and I didn't like the match either, but I do think that fans are going to rally behind Bianca, and I do think she's going to win the title back, and I do think it's going to be a good moment. I do think that this could work.
See, when you put it like that, I'll agree. Because, yes, if this is what gets people to rally behind Bianca because she got screwed, then technically it worked. Obviously, the time of it I just didn't like what I saw. And I know, again, Pete, you weren't there in our group. You know, one of our good friends, Michael Keys, very upset that people were upset about it, which again, I get because, you know, I do agree with him in the sense that, yes, we do need to see how it plays out. It's completely fair, totally fair.
But it's also fair to not give WWE any credit and think that this was terrible.
Yeah, exactly. And again, like I was just again, like I think for me, it's like I want to see Bianca lose it properly, and we've seen this before with the booking, which is why it was so frustrating. But again, if I look at it from RJ's point of view and what he just said, then I'm all in. And I think I would like that more, and I would appreciate it more, appreciate the squash more if that's the case. Pete.
I'm going to say I somewhat agree in that in hindsight, this might not be as bad. And that in the long run, yes, it might work out well. Bianca might get that support. Or Becky might do the same thing as last time she turned heel, and the fans will get even more behind her heel character because her heel character is excellent, and she'll just come even more over as a face as a result. Either of these things can happen, but I guarantee you that's not the plan of how it's meant to happen down the line. And honestly, this when it happened, gave me the same hatred vibes as Fiend versus Orton, Fiend versus Goldberg, Lesnar versus Kofi, those type of things.
Yeah.
And I've never gone from such elation to being utterly pissed off. And I turned off my screen when it happened. I turned off the site. I went back and watched the rest of SummerSlam afterwards, but I honestly went and did something else for an hour and then came back to it. I was furious when this happened. You had the most anticipated female wrestling return ever.
Oh my
ever.
goodness. Yeah, I can't think of
And you did
anything
this
bigger.
with it.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying Becky shouldn't turn heel, but you can inject some life into the women's division here. And instead, you treat the only thing that has been built half decently in the women's division during the pandemic like that. You could have had Bianca quickly dispose of Carmella and have Becky come out for a stare down. Honestly, the fans would have popped just as hard for that. Build a feud for a couple of months, and then maybe Bianca actually beats Becky. Becky turns heel on her. Do something like that. Build this match up. And like, now you want to turn Becky heel, who is the biggest babyface star you've had in the last 10 years of your company.
Yep.
Who got an unbelievable monster pop when that music hit.
Oh yeah.
Like, in a time where you can't build faces. This company doesn't have great over faces. The only one they had was Drew, and the fans are already turning on that because you're booking it like shit. So why are you turning a heel? And yeah, it might work out, as I said. Maybe she'll get even more over in the long run. But honestly, I think this is the worst SummerSlam moment of the 21st century in how this was done. I think it's worse than the Nexus match for me. And I don't really want to hear the let's see how this plays out comments, because I let Goldberg versus The Fiend play out. I was waited to see what they do. I'd let Fiend versus Orton play out to see what they do. I let Kofi versus Lesnar play out just to see what they do. Even let Cross versus Hardy. Like, everyone's like, oh yeah, let's see how it plays out. I am done with that shit. This was a shite booking decision, and Bianca deserved better than it. And yeah, long run, it might work. But even if this feud develops, I'm not going to forget that the first time they had this match, Becky Lynch disposed of her in 20 seconds.
Yeah, it was
with one move. On a build where Bianca has been through Hell in a Cell, a main event of WrestleMania, coming as a bit of an underdog and like a dominant underdog champion in a weird way of saying that, to overcome almost everything put in front of her, and you squashed her. Like, it wasn't like Becky really cheated. Yes, you might have caught her a little bit out of surprise. And then afterwards, Bianca's like, oh, you got me. Oh, that's a shame. No, you've had 6-month reign here. This is what you built up to. You were in tears at WrestleMania winning this championship. Be pissed off.
Yeah.
Like,
I hate
it.
See that on SmackDown, and we still could, but
in the moment, though, that moment, honestly, worst SummerSlam moment, at least in the 21st century for me. It was that bad. I hated it.
Yeah, it was again. Like I see again. This is where I see Pete's point, which is where I felt initially when it happened. I don't know. I think in a hybrid of the two. I think maybe quickly dispose Carmella, have the stare down, and even then you can even turn Becky heel right there. Like, Becky comes out to congratulate her, and then boom, the attack happens. I
don't see why you're not building a match between the biggest women's star you've ever had and the biggest women's star of the pandemic. Why are you not building this feud? Why are you having a 20-second squash match as the first thing they do in this build? Like, if Becky turning heel was the way to go, have her turn heel properly as well. Have her, like, I don't know, go to shake hands as Bianca's walking out, attack her from behind, beat it down with a steel chair, do whatever. Actually fully go in on it and do a shock factor like that. Having her just win the title pretty clean. Like, there wasn't really anything in there where you went, oh, she really cheated to win that. No, it was pretty clean. It wasn't like a full-on heel turn to win that. It was just a bit opportunist in the way of saying it.
No, again, I think those are very, very fair points. And of course, I'm curious if you're watching this on YouTube or other, if you want to share your thoughts on what you thought of that Becky moment, let us know in the comments below, because it became one of the more polarizing moments of the weekend for sure.
And if you want to tell me how much I'm wrong and how much I hate it, at Nick_C. Or...
yeah, at Nick_C. Nick C_1990 can damn well done. I wish I thought of that. Let's go on to the biggest hockey moment of the weekend. Well, I mean, you could say this was the biggest talking point of the weekend, but again, everybody look forward to this match. It is the Universal Championship. John Cena, Roman Reigns. First off, WWE can go to hell solely for the fact that John Cena released maybe what looks like to be one of his best shirts of all time. And he only released it on that bloody NFT collection or whatever the hell that is. Go to hell. Because that would have been the one time I would have been okay with paying $800 shipping for that shirt. How effing dare you? That is one of the best shirts I've ever seen. The championships on the back with the dates were great. The Super Mario 3 turnaround, which I know people are already comparing. Yes, CM Punk has a version. Yes, Daniel Bryan has a version. Everybody copies everything off each other. Go to hell. I'm so mad. Excuse me. That's the one thing that made me so mad. I'm like, you really are not going to sell that shirt publicly? You're going to sell it to some fucking online graphic shit that you can easily create yourself if you know After Effects or Adobe Premiere? Go to hell. That's all. The match was incredible. Let me take that back. I think the match was great. Not incredible, but I thought it was great. A lot of near fall moments that I thought Cena was actually going to pull it off, weirdly enough, which I guess is a good thing. Like if you're reacting to it and then you're assuming that it's going to happen, then it's working. And again, I got like the super AA off the top rope. I'm like, holy crap, Cena's going to freaking do it. Doesn't happen. I know there were a couple of like AAs and there was a table involved as well. Again, I thought he was close. I thought he was very, very close. And again, like with the shirt on the back, I'm like, this would make sense. I think it's going to happen. God damn it, they're not selling the shirt. And of course, as soon as Roman Reigns wins it with the spear and everything, in comes a monster of a beast. Brock Lesnar makes his return to an enormous pop, to one of the loudest pops of the weekend. Not as loud as CM Punk, but yes, I thought it was very loud. The fans were loving it. It looks like it's going to be face Lesnar we're getting, which again I also love. He was working with the crowd. He was having a good time. And of course, after the show went off, we missed it sadly. But the suplex is the scene in the F5, insult to injury. But I loved it. I loved Brock's return. I presume that's where it's going to go next. And I think for Roman, it can be good because I'm going to presume, and I feel like I'm stupid saying this now, that Roman beats Brock down the line to really solidify his championship reign. I could be wrong. I don't know, but I'm very, very happy Brock's back. I'm very, very happy. I know some people are pissed off because it's Brock Lesnar. I get it, but damn it, Brock makes things work, and damn it, can Brock attract the crowd, and he gets the crowd going, and it's a proven point. So, I'm happy for Brock. Paul Heyman running away like a bitch was great too. He's like, oh my god, I said like he was cheating on him on something. I hope it doesn't go to the traditional. Okay, Paul Heyman betrays Roman Reigns and goes back to Brock. I hope not, because it's working what they have here, but we'll see what happens. I'm happy that Brock's back. And as for John Cena, who tweeted that he's going away again, heartbreaking. And I think RJ said it last week: absence make the heart grows fonder. Right? That's
it's something like that.
Somebody said like that. Anyways,
something like that.
I'm happy to. I know I get Pete's point that the run was a little bit underwhelming, but hey, I'll always take John Cena. Can't wait to see him again. So I think that's all I need to say. It was more than I thought I was going to say. Pete, let's go to you.
Well, first on the match, I thought it was a very good match, but I almost felt like I was hoping for something more, and I'm not exactly sure why. I'm not even actually sure what I was hoping for, but this was a very good WWE match. It just didn't feel special, and I wanted it to feel special, and I don't exactly know what that special is. I was almost hoping to be a match where I went, that was the SummerSlam that had Reigns versus Cena, and that was excellent. That's kind of how I wanted to remember it in that term of match, and it was good. It definitely didn't disappoint. It was just that kind of little slight underwhelming, despite it being very good, which is a weird way to say it. The Lesnar return, I thought the execution of it was excellent. I thought I loved seeing him there. He looked like a cross between Frankenstein's monster and an onion, but I'm not sure I particularly want to see Reigns versus Lesnar again. I'd have rather seen him go for Lashley, and that belt, I think it makes a bit more sense considering he originally lost that belt to Drew and Lashley beat Drew for it and all that kind of stuff.
Hilariously enough, SmackDown has all the goodies. SmackDown got
SmackDown
gets Raw.
Yeah.
Raw has a
the
doll.
Fox poll is just
Raw has a doll.
Apparently, USA are a little bit pissed off about that.
I would be.
Yeah, it's definitely
Pay up,
apparently
USA.
going to be some news about that, but yeah, there's definitely a story to tell though now with Roman and Brock. And it is different characters, and yeah, I don't really want to see Brock win the title. But I am going to disagree with Jose on one thing. I want to see Paul Heyman turn his back on Roman, go and join Brock.
Really?
But what I want to see is Roman getting pissed off about it, and Brock and like Paul Heyman out eating ice cream on the beach. I want to see them having like proper like father-son bonding until Paul Heyman inevitably betrays Brock, accidentally betrays Brock in the main match of it. Roman beats Brock, retains the title, and just as they're walking out, Paul Heyman kind of looks up and just smiles. And that's all I need.
The double agent?
That's what I want, like the double turn. Like, looks like he's betrayed Roman
Isn't
to
that
help
what
Brock.
Stephanie McMahon did with
eventually
Triple
did.
H at Armageddon? Is that what you're
but, and then we get a custody of Paul Heyman ladder match because it needs to happen. But honestly, the only issue I have with this match is going to happen in Saudi, and if that's the case, I'm not going to watch it.
Yeah, I'm not going to watch it either.
So that's kind of why I'm like, well, Lesnar's come to challenge Reigns, and it could be a fun story, and there's all the history, all the stuff with Heyman and stuff, and it's going to be on Saudi, and
I
fuck that.
Say this. I know a lot of people are going to be pissed off at another Roman Brock match, but they're such different characters now from what it seems, and this is such a great. There's completely different dynamic. I'm like, this makes me more invested into this than I did at Mania 31, than I did at Mania 34. Like, Roman is a badass heel. Brock looks like he's ready to hug a fan, or maybe bear hug a fan. I don't know. He's a monster. I like this. It looks like it works. And before I get to you, RJ, I just wanted to say one thing, and I feel like I may trigger some people here. I don't know. Michael Cole is getting better, and I absolutely loved Michael Cole's call with as Brock came out with Pat. Michael Cole actually starting to sound authentic and legitimate when a shock like this happened. Like his voice cracking. Oh my God! He nearly saying holy shit. Pat complimented that.
Yeah.
Pat complimented that. Say it. Like, it's working.
Yeah.
And again, like a lot of people complain about Michael Cole being monotone, being like, the same thing, like, oh my, but he's sounding more authentic. And again, I just think that they let Michael Cole go, and just to genuinely, again, like I feel like they told Cole, okay, react like how a fan will react when Brock comes out. I was saying, oh my God, I was saying holy shit, and Cole is saying the same thing again. He's jumping up and down, he's freaking out. I'm like, that is the Michael Cole we need. And it's all thanks to Pat McAfee. So
I was going to say, just to pick up on that, is like him and Pat have been like a revolution together. But
it's so good.
Like, Michael Cole is a great commentator.
I agree.
When he is not completely and utterly puppet string controlled by Vince McMahon in the back. If you watch him, like things like the original like UK Championship tournament and stuff, you watch his commentary in that, he's a different man. Like, he's very, very, very good at his job. When he's not being constantly micromanaged, say this line. And if I'm being constantly micromanaged, like Jose wants to, and say this line, yeah, I'm going to sound monotone and shit as well. Like, Jose wants me to say like all the corporate lines and.
Uh-oh.
No, that's not what you were supposed to say, bitch.
Sorry. Sorry, the script didn't say lines. It said paraphrase text. Sorry.
No, but, again, like, sorry, RJ is.
Apparently, they didn't know that Brock was going to be there. Cole and Pat McAfee. And that's
What?
why they got such a genuine reaction.
No way.
Yeah, I read that on Reddit, I think.
Freaking Reddit.
Yeah, it's where you find all the juice, man.
I know.
But apparently they were completely left in the dark between the Brock and Becky returns, making them completely genuine. That's probably why.
Michael Cole and during today's episode of the Pat McAfee show, Pat and Cole discussed the two surprises. McAfee's kept in the dark most of the times, and he's left out of meetings, which is a good thing. But even Michael Cole was unaware that Becky and Brock. Wow, McAfee noted how he looked like an idiot when he kept putting it over Sasha Banks, and half a second later. That makes sense. Because like Michael Cole, Pat McAfee was going hard on Sasha on commentary. Oh, I gotta look at this once we stop recording. But wow, that is That I like that. I like, and you know what?
Yeah,
And, you know, I always tell myself if I was ever a commentator for WWE, I guess I would try to ask, as if you can easily approach Vince, like, hey, can you not tell me what's happening? Because again, like, I want those genuine reactions. But if that's the case, that's amazing. That's so good.
Because I got a chance to do color commentary for a wrestling event once, and oh yeah, I haven't told you about this before.
No.
Anyway, I got to do it once, and it was like the main surprise was like Eddie Edwards or something like that, and they were like, our champion's going to come out and somebody's going to come answer the challenge, and they were like, yeah, so this is who it's going to be, by the way. And I was like, oh, I couldn't be surprised. But I guess they wanted us to know in case like we didn't know who he was or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. It's a fine line. You got to be very careful. Like I feel like
yeah.
I mean,
But
with
like in a
Michael Cole-
WWE scenario,
Well,
it's like,
Pat
obviously
McAfee,
you know who
Pat
Brock
McAfee
is.
might not know who Becky Lynch is. It's fine. It's
Yeah.
Well, I mean, look. See, in Cole's case, because he's been with the business for so long, it works. I think that you know you cannot tell him, and Michael Cole will probably smack a bunch of stats on you on the spot, on the fly, which works. But that is great. I have no idea that apparently they had no idea. I'm gonna look at this Pat McAfee clip after once we get off, but that is really interesting to know. Anyways, RJ, your thoughts on everything?
Yeah, I've got thoughts on the mats for sure.
Yeah, I diverted on Michael Cole. But I just have to say that to the haters, this is what I've been trying to say for so many years. That yes, Michael Cole is good and it works. Fight me, RJ.
Yeah, so on the Brock return, I do think that this match was destined to happen and does need to happen. I do want to see Brock as a face going against Heyman, and I do think that with the roles reversed, that this will be good. On the match itself between Cena and Cena and Roman, I think the reason why I would think this is a good match and not a great or special match like Pete wanted it to be is because I personally could never buy into Cena winning this match. I know I was saying on like Twitter during the day, oh, we need a big surprise. Maybe Cena wins 17 tonight.
Oh yeah.
And Becky shows up. So there's the huge surprise. And then I'm thinking going into this match, I'm like, there's no way that Roman is losing this match. So I could not buy into any of the big near falls.
Yeah.
The FU through the table or AA through the table. I'm like, he's kicking out. The Super AA, I'm like, AJ kicked out of this 2 years ago. Roman's kicking out of it too. I just could not buy in. And then Cena losing after one spear. It's like, oh, classic Roman. I know this was a good match. I just didn't like it, really, if that makes any sense.
No,
I just couldn't really buy into anything but Roman winning clean. And that's probably why I didn't think it was anything special, personally.
It's a fair point, and that was my mindset too. Like, you know, I think they were promoting like there's gonna be multiple surprises, but again, I mean, to me, I'm like, hey, they're not gonna do multiple. Like Becky's probably the one thing, and to be honest,
and Brock.
And to be honest, I completely forgot about Brock. Somehow I forgot about Brock and amidst this whole thing. I don't know if it's just because like this it's been so long since he's not been on TV, but Brock was not on my mind at all. Maybe in the last month in terms of storyline. I just did not think of Brock. So on his music hit, I felt genuinely surprised. I'm like, holy crap, that's a surprise that worked. And I know Pete is a big fan of like, you know, stop leaking shit. Please just let us be surprised.
Oh, yeah.
And both of those worked to perfection, I think.
For sure.
100%, I agree
and the
with that.
Brock surprise.
The Brock surprise made it all worth it for sure.
The Becky pop in its isolation is unbelievably deafening. Like, and the Brock pop similar. They're both unbelievably deafening, great moments. Like both of them are fantastic moments in isolation. The Becky stuff, obviously, I disagreed with everything that happened after that. The Lesnar stuff, I very much enjoyed what happened after he appeared. I don't want Lesnar to win that belt, though. I am done with Lesnar as champion. I don't mind Lesnar as challenger because, unlike Goldberg, he can still go. He does feel like a legitimate threat. And yeah, I'd maybe rather he had like a weird mid-card feuds and put people over and stuff. But at the same time, because he is a part-timer, if he's a full-timer, no concerns whatsoever of him being main event and stuff like that. But just because he's part-timer, I always feel a bit part-timer, main event, title match. Leaves me a little bit of a sour taste. Not too disappointed as long as he doesn't win, though.
It's Brock at the end of the day for me. So, like, I get pissed off, but it's still Brock, and I still pop when he shows up. Like, it's still Brock.
It's a lot of fun.
As much as I don't want to like it, it's Brock.
I love it.
It is. And I have that same reaction until he's holding a belt.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, please, no. Don't do this to me again.
I'm in the minority there. I'm all for a Brock champ, and if it's a face Brock, even better. But I get it. I do get it for sure.
He will win that belt, and then probably in Saudi. If he wins the belt in Saudi, as an example, you won't see him again until Rumble.
Probably not.
And then post Rumble, he might have 2 appearances in the build up to Mania, and that's why I don't like him as a champ. I like him as an appearance, a special attraction appearing person like that, because it is a great special attraction appearing. I just don't like not having the champ or the belt on your TV week in, week out.
I get it.
Even if they are booked to shit.
Well, on that note, gentlemen, out of 5, how would you rate this up and down SummerSlam? RJ?
This one wasn't great for me. I'm not gonna lie. It's like a 2.5. That might be optimistic.
That's where I was gonna go.
If Brock didn't come back, it'd probably be a 2. It was long.
And honestly,
the Seth match was good.
Yeah,
but
if Edge and Seth weren't on there, I'd probably give this maybe a 1.5.
This wasn't great.
It wasn't,
in my personal opinion.
Pete,
Takeover was fantastic.
Oh, Takeover is excellent, but unfortunately, that's the end of NXT. So
yeah,
it's I'm gonna go with 2. I think if Edge and Seth wasn't on this card and the Lesnar moment wasn't on this card, to be fair, there were a few other decent matches, but I just didn't care that much about them. If they went on this card, it would be down in the 1s, but I probably took close to a 4 star off just because of how bad I think the Becky return was handled in the isolation of the moment.
Well, gentlemen, that will conclude our discussion here on SummerSlam. Thank you, as always. So this is where we say goodbye to these gentlemen. Gentlemen, thank you. Take care.
Toodaloo.
What the hell? And we go back to me. Let us know what you thought about SummerSlam. What do you think out of 5? Let us know in the comments below or tweet at us. We're generally curious what you thought of. Next week, there won't be an episode because I am not in the city next week. I'm flying over to the West Coast for a little getaway, so I am not here next week. So there will be no episode. So this time, and this time I mean it when I say we should be back in 2 weeks this time around. Of course, unfortunate event happened last time, but yes, we should be back in 2 weeks. But for now, all I can say is just that. Thank you so much for watching. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and available wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe to us here on YouTube. I'm Jose Tabuada, and we will see you guys in 2 weeks. Have a great one. Bye.